Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And if you remember what I said at the end of my last video, I said with 200 likes, I would do a video on Gamera Rebirth or a matchup featuring that interpretation of the giant turtle. Last video got well over 400 likes, so thank you guys for that. So I guess we back on the grind. And hey, I'm not complaining. I love the kaiju content. And if you love it, make sure to subscribe, comment, tell me what you want to see. And for all the guys who read the title and clicked the video, you guys can obviously see that I have elected to go with the latter, as in I'll be putting up this Gamera against a Godzilla. Not just any Godzilla, but the one as seen from the Polygon trilogy from Netflix a couple years back. Obviously they're both anime, so there's already the comparison there. And even people who worked on the Godzilla Polygon trilogy would go on to work with this new Gamera show. And plus, even in the new mobile game Godzilla Battlegrounds, the Godzilla chosen to fight Gamera and all of the promotional art is the one from the Godzilla anime trilogy. So at least on that level, this matchup is relevant. It makes sense. Plus, there's always going to be some guy on Twitter who thinks that Gamera would beat that Godzilla and another Godzilla at the same time. So, hey, if you like that type of stuff, like from last video, we're going to have some of that in here as well. But getting right into it this time, let's start off with the newest version of Gamera. Obviously, there's one big feat that everybody's talking about, but I feel like working my way up to that part. So, you guys got to eat your greens before we get into the dessert. And starting off with some of the lower ends for this interpretation of the character, in order to get a gauge for Gamera's lower ends, we're going to talk about the size of his fireballs, and they're pretty big. And at face value, the explosive yield for some of these fireballs would easily fall into the city block ranges of power and destructive capacity. But I found a thread comparing it to some early nukes, and whoever made this thread determined the explosive yield of the fireballs to be around 340 to 425 tons of TNT, which is around multi-city block. And for the guys who think this is the attack potency of the fireballs and it doesn't scale to his base attack potency, Gamera is able to fight and damage individuals that can survive blasts from these attacks. So Gamera and base easily being multi-city block is fair enough in my opinion. But you can get his base attack potency even higher, as when he flies, he can initiate a flying attack with his shell, and it can rip apart kaijus who can no-sell his physical attacks pretty easily. Gamera is also able to direct the energy used for his fireballs into his hand, igniting it into a scorching hand attack. So there's a more direct way to scale his physical attacks to his fireball, just in case you didn't buy the last line of scaling. As for speed, he should easily fall into the supersonic plus the high hypersonic ranges of attack speed and reaction time, as he can fight on par with Gaios. Gaios is stated to fly at supersonic speeds and shoot attacks at supersonic speed. Gamera can tag Gaios with his fireballs as well as catch him physically, but you can get Gaios' flight speed a lot higher, as there's one statement that says he flies at Mach 3 or higher, which would put Gaios and by extension Gamera into the hypersonic ranges of speed. And if you think this is one simple one-off statement, during a later fight in the series, Gamera is shown to be able to escape the atmosphere, meaning that he can reach escape velocity, which is around Mach 33 if I remember correctly, meaning that at bare minimum, Gamera's flight speed would be in the hypersonic plus tier. And it's safe to say this scales to Gamera's reaction time, as he can combine his flight modes to form an attack, as previously mentioned, and seeing as how he flies at the speed, he would need a relative reaction time in order to get from place to place properly. Alright, now that we got all the base stats out the way, let's move into this moon feat. Before I talk about anything, how powerful is the beam? Well, most calcs that I have seen put it in the country to multi-continental ranges of power, and it's pretty deep into multi-continental. I've seen it get into the exatons, just shy of moon level. But here's the thing, it doesn't scale to his base. In fact, firing the attack kills him, and this line of thinking is quite evident when looking at his durability. Gamera's a tough guy, don't get me wrong, but he's shown to get hurt by jets. Nothing crazy obviously, they're not piercing him, but it's shown that these weapons do cause him some sort of pain. So what's more consistent? The multi-city block level stuff, which is consistent and doesn't kill him and has more direct scaling to his base, or Gamera hypothetically being in the exatons and getting hurt by jets. And there's also the previously mentioned fact that it kills him to fire the beam. But for the sake of this matchup, and just in case any of the Gamera fans are feeling bold in the comments, I will say that this continental level of power scales to his base attack potency as well as durability. Great, Gamera has multi-continental attacks and scaling, he has high hypersonic travel, attack, and reaction speed, and also that beam he fired is calculated to be around sub-relativistic, as well as a plethora of different abilities. How does all this stuff compare to Godzilla Earth? Starting off with pre-time skip Godzilla, and he has a plethora of impressive stuff that I want to talk about. A lot of the stuff that I'm about to talk about is further expanded upon in the prequel novels, but it should give us a nice starting off point for where this Godzilla scales. And getting right into it, he was able to vaporize the Bay of Bengal, which is the world's biggest bay of water, sitting at around 800,000 plus square miles long. To put that number into perspective, that's bigger than some countries. In order to vaporize such a body of water, you would need to exert anywhere from 2.5 pentatons to 2.5 exatons of TNT, which is around continental to multi-continental plus. And should I mention that this attack didn't kill Godzilla to perform? Another impressive feat is him surviving a large-scale nuclear attack consisting of at least 100 nuclear bombs, with the output of such a blast being calculated to anywhere from 57 to 62 gigatons of TNT, or ion level plus. Godzilla no-sold this attack completely and walked off unscathed, so yeah, scales them pretty easily. But without a doubt, Godzilla's most infamous feat during this time period is him completely obliterating the asteroid Gorath, which was going to destroy the entire planet, and it was as big as the moon. He destroyed it with his red spiral ray, with the energy output of this atomic blast being calculated to output around 76 runatons of TNT. You may say that Godzilla had to store energy for 5 years in order to produce such an attack, but we are literally doing the same thing for Gamera, i.e. scaling his base attack potency to a one-off beam, so it's only fair. But also in the prequel novel, he was able to kill Batra, who was supposed to destroy the meteor, and Godzilla killed an adult Mothra, who would have more than likely be relative to adult Batra. It's also important to note that Godzilla was heavily damaged after the Batra fight, so you can make the logical assertion that Godzilla was more or less trying to heal himself rather than amping himself for Gorath. Combine this with the statement about Mechagodzilla, which says that Godzilla during this time period has star-busting power, you could unironically argue that the Gorath stuff scales to his base attack potency. And plus, it doesn't kill him to perform, so there's that. Moving on to speed, and well, look at this guy. How fast do you think he is? Really? While he has no physical speed feats, his atomic breath more than makes up for the fact, as it's actually a particle beam, meaning that it moves at near light speeds. So after lining up the stats for both of our combatants, it seems like this matchup is a massive stomp in Godzilla's favor, and if you're thinking that, you're right. So now, just for fun, let's submit how deep in the dirt Gamera actually is by talking about Godzilla Earth's actual scaling, as he grew an immense power over the 20,000 year time gap in between the novels and the actual films. I'm sure there's a multiplier meta out there somewhere, but I'm not going to talk about it, as feats are always going to be more reliable and concrete than hypothetical calculations. So what does Godzilla Earth do in the actual trilogy? True, this Godzilla is infamous for not really doing much of anything, but it's actually really funny to me that in one of his last scenes in the entire trilogy, he performs a feat that is much greater than anything we talked about before, i.e. destroying Void Ghidorah's black holes. Whether you think Godzilla scales to the actual Void Ghidorah is irrelevant, as his feat of destroying Ghidorah's black holes is concrete and objectively and visually shown. Anyways, the output of energy his particle beam is producing in this scene has been calculated to be anywhere from 183 foes to even 583 kilofoes, or solar system to multi-solar system level. Attempting to scale Godzilla Earth to Ghidorah's 4D nature would be kind of odd in my opinion. So statements saying that their battle shook the heavens, or trying to use that one statement that says Godzilla Earth and Void Ghidorah are equals, isn't really applicable for this analysis. But for those of you guys who remember Gamera's AP, you would know that giving Godzilla these higher ends would just be overkill. And it is with that I hope you guys understand why I think Godzilla, why Godzilla Earth wins this matchup no to low diff. Keep in mind, we gave Gamera the benefit of the doubt and scaled his most powerful attack to his base, even though that's not the case. Giving Gamera that scaling had little to no effect on the ramifications or outcome of this matchup at all. The best way that I can describe this matchup is like Mike Tyson versus a wall. Mike Tyson's an extremely skilled individual and he can piece you up, but what's he gonna do against a stone wall? Oh, and by the way, the wall has a laser that can destroy black holes. Even if we were to equify the character's stats, such as AP and speed, I still have Godzilla Earth winning this matchup. I don't see what Gamera's gonna do against Godzilla's shield, and even if he were to penetrate Godzilla's shield somehow and damage him, our boy Godzilla's healing factor is insane, while Gamera's healing factor is, well, it leaves much to be desired. And to be totally honest with you guys, this version of Gamera is not particularly pretty impressive. Like, at all. I think that he has the worst showings of any cinematic Gamera. He's city block level consistently in base, and he outputs multi-continental amounts of energy in one attack but it kills him. Even the original Godzilla 54 has multi-continental durability showcases, as he's able to tank the Oxygen Destroyer for an extended period of time, with the original Oxygen Destroyer outputting multi-continental plus amounts of energy per second pretty much. And even though the Oxygen Destroyer took its toll and it atomized our Godzilla, his bones still were intact. So unironically, Godzilla's bones have better durability than Gamera. And that's just 54. We're talking about Godzilla Earth. Think of it like this. Gamera got staggered and injured by Jetfire, while Godzilla Earth walked away unscratched and unbothered by 100 plus nuclear bombs. Gamera with his strongest attack destroyed a chunk of the moon, a very small chunk as well, while Godzilla destroyed the asteroid Gorath, which was the size of the moon and gonna destroy the planet. And Godzilla obliterated it, and he didn't die afterwards. So yeah, this matchup is not close. It's not. Gamera will always be a G, but let's hope that season 2 gives us some better feats. And with that, we're done with another video. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys like the power scaling kaiju content, let me know what you guys want to see. I think I have another Godzilla video for next week, and I think it involves an IP that you guys have wanted to see me cover for a while. But until then, stay big G fans.